This is this happened. I'm in my office. This is a drug representative. I've kindly removed her so you can't identify her. I'm telling you about nitric oxide and risk for Alzheimer's disease. I'm showing you a medicine that increases risk, that increases nitric oxide. She came to my office and brought me 2 samples, Viagra and Aricept, on the same day, side by side. I said, I just want to take your picture because she didn't know why. Isn't this amazing? I mean, they get you whether you're coming or going. It's I love this one. One awkward moment with my doctor ended 2 awkward years with my wife. Now, what happened in the doctor's office? I mean, what did the doctor look like? We're supposed to look, like the doctor made a recommendation. And here's the good part. It said that Viagra has shown improvement in erectile dysfunction in 4 out of 5 men compared to placebo pill. I guess it was a placebo. 3 out of 5? I can't read what it says. But, the point is placebo is a sugar pill is associated with that percentage of men having better erections by taking the sugar pill. Now, why do you think when you go to a nice hotel at night they put the chocolate on your pillow? I mean, here are some critical brain nutrients. I talk about them in the Better Brain book. We talked about most of them today. Here are some dosages. I'm going to leave this up for just 1 minute. These are, this is in what's a product called Brain Sustain, which is made by a company called iNutritionals. These are the dosages that are important for maintenance of brain health. I take more CoQ10 myself than this each day. I take 200 milligrams. How are we doing? Writing? Okay. Go or stop? Stop. Again, the theme from Jeopardy. All right? No. Time is up. The pens are down. These are baseline dosages. When treating patients, we use much higher dosages. Okay? No. I don't like waiting for anything. It's not that obvious to me. All right. If you go outside to iNutritionals, they'll have this written for you. All right. Prevention. We've been talking today about prevention. In the 4th century BC, in the text, the Neige, written by the Yellow Emperor, he said that prevention is the ultimate principle of wisdom. To cure disease after it has manifest is like digging a well when one already feels thirsty, or forging weapons when the war has already begun. We've got to close this barn door before the cow gets out. The treatments available today for Alzheimer's are, for the most part, ineffective. And yet, as I've shown you, it's a preventable disease. The foods that we eat have an effect upon our brain. I would say Homer didn't really have the best diet, and look at his MRI scan. I would like to leave you with this that has had great meaning for me in my practice of medicine. When I die, I want to go peacefully in my sleep, like my grandfather did, not screaming like the other passengers in his car. Thank you very much.
Okay, everyone, if you have your questions, please pass them to the aisles. And we'll be collecting them quickly. And Peg, Patricia, if you have a question you want to pose while we're gathering them, that'd be great, because I see you have some cards already. And we've got about 8 minutes. We'll try and answer as many questions as possible.
I will pose a question while Patricia gets ready. You mentioned that hippocampus is the seat of memory, and that is degenerated through our lifetime with habits, and that our brain can regenerate. Does that include the hippocampus?
As a matter of fact, the question is the hippocampus, which is a fundamental area involved in memory, can that regenerate? In fact, the hippocampus is only one of 2 areas of the brain that has this ability for neurogenesis. All of the studies I showed you, all those images, were from hippocampal neurons. The rest of the brain really doesn't regenerate, but how fortunate it is that that one area of the brain that's involved in memory function does retain that ability. Yes, ma'am.
The question here is, enzyme supplementation has also shown to be greatly useful in reducing inflammation. Do you use this? And if not, why?
The question is the role of enzymes and enzyme supplementation. There's a fundamental relationship between not only the foods that we eat, but the foods that we absorb in terms of regulating the level of inflammation in the human body. In patients who have issues with absorption and whose digestion is poor, we absolutely use digestive enzymes. And we follow inflammatory markers in virtually all of our patients and do make certain enzyme recommendations like over-the-counter ones people can buy from health food stores with reference to enhancing digestion and reducing inflammation. Do you want to call on people for me? Okay, I got it. I can handle that. Yes?
Recently, the media has covered that vitamin E may cause harm, yet you advise to take it. Comments?
I did not have a relationship with it. The issue with the vitamin E is I'm sure every of your doctors and panelists has been raked over the coals inappropriately because of vitamin E. Let's look at the study. The study was not an interventional study at all. It was not a research study in terms of doing something with vitamin E in patients in a laboratory. It was a retrospective evaluation of previous studies of vitamin E. It was grossly flawed for a number of reasons. Many of the studies that were looked at had used inappropriate types of vitamin E, for example, DL-alpha tocopherol. DL stands for don't like, which means when you go to the store and you find that that's not the one you want to use. It's much less effective, and in fact, may possibly be related to being more harmful than is good. So that wasn't even a study, it was a retrospective research analysis. And I think when you look, if you go on Medline and look at the studies of vitamin E and Alzheimer's and cardiac disease and diabetes risk, probably they're overwhelmingly positive by a factor of 1,000 to 1. Well, it depends. I mean, when we have a patient who does a urine lipid peroxide test and shows high levels of free radical activity, they might need more vitamin E. We talk about giving people about 400 units as a baseline of a good mixed tocopherol that's kept in the refrigerator. And there are various wonderful brands out there. Many of our patients need much higher levels. I mean, in our patients with Lou Gehrig's disease, they get a lot higher levels of vitamin E in a variety of issues. We have to lower that results of the urine lipid peroxide test, a measurement of free radical activity. So whatever it takes, we'll keep throwing in toxins until we normalize that test. That is our most fundamental evaluation of if we're doing our job or not.
Could you discuss the effects of Lipitor and what it does to the brain?
Well, yes, ma'am, I'd be happy to. I actually have several slides on Lipitor and its effect on cognitive function. In the journal Medical Hypothesis, actually, an interesting report on statin drugs was recently written. The editorial that followed it, in reference to the effect of statin drugs on brain function, the editorial said that there should be given consideration that people who use statin drugs should not be permitted to drive a car because of its effects on hand-eye coordination. You've probably seen in the news that there are issues with people trying to say that Lipitor has a profound anti-inflammatory effect and may in fact be useful in the Alzheimer's patients because somebody did a study on laboratory rats that were actually, the laboratory rats were placed in a high-stress environment. I don't know what that means, the laboratory, maybe they put them in front of a Jerry Springer reruns or something. But the point is, and gave them huge dosages of statin drug and found that perhaps their performance in a maze was better. The studies in humans, which are not interventional studies, they are studies of people who take statin drugs versus those who do not, demonstrate actually a compromise in certain functions of the brain.